दिस इज प्रतीक्षा। वेलकम बैक टू आवर चैनल। हम देख रहे हैं पाइथन सीरीज। आज के वीडियो में हम देखने वाले हैं व्हाट इज अ फॉर लूप इन पाइथन। सो फॉर लूप इज अ पाइथन पावरफुल टूल that allows you to repeat the block of code for each item in the sequence. That for loop iterating over the sequence. That sequence might be list, tuple, string, dictionary, and any object that can be iterated over. And for loop perform the individual operation on each and every item in the sequence. So for loop जब हमें sequence के each and every item पे operation perform करना होता है, so then we can use a for loop. So let's see the syntax for it. So we start with the word for, then we write item and in, and here we write the sequence. And instead of this item, we can write any name like number, year, I, or the variable. And from here we start the code that we want to execute it for each item. So make sure our code when we use a for loop, that we should make sure our code start from the below the item. We can't start from here, because when we start our code from here, then we'll get an indentation error, which is beginning of the code. So we have to always write the code from below the item. And here for is a word that is starting our for loop, and item is a variable that holds the current iterations. So here in this item, it holds each item in the sequence, and in is a specified sequence that we will given here. We can give any sequence like list, string, tuple, dictionary, anything. So let's see the example of for loop. Suppose I have a list 1 and I want to access all element. I want to get all element from the list. Then I can use a for loop. So for I in list 1, and when I print I, then we'll get all element from the list. So for loop iterating over the sequence, here we can see we get all element here. And suppose I have one list and I want to get the which is containing integer value, and I want to get the square of each element, each item in the list. Then I can use a for loop, because for loop iterating perform the operations on each and every element in the sequence. Suppose I am passing the list which containing the value, integer value, and I want to square up each value. So for that I am taking one more list which is square, and which I'll put it empty, because I want to store the square of each element from my original list. So for that I use for I in list 1. यहाँ पे मुझे list 1 के each item का square लेना है. So I'll pass list 1, and for loop always we have to put the colon after the sequence, any sequence that we have given. And now I'm using append function that we have seen in the last video. We can add element in the list by using append function. So here I want to add square of each element from this list 1 into square list. That's why I add the square dot append, and I want square. So I'll square of each item, which is square. And when I'll print our square list, then I'll get the square list, which is square of each element in the list. That means the for loop perform the individual operation on each element in the list. So this is our I, which is item that iterating from this list sequence. And as we seen, we can take any sequence like string, list. Suppose I am taking one string which is string 1 equal to, I am passing apple, and I want to get the all words from this string. So I'll pass for, instead of I can pass item as well, and here I am passing my string 1, because I want to get all the words, individual words from that list. And now I'm printing item, and I'll get all individual words from this string. So this how we can use our for loop for the sequence by performing the operation on each and every item in the list. So this is all about for loop, and here I have given some example so you can practice with it. So that's it for this video. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, stay tuned, keep practicing. Bye bye.